Standing Committee meeting of Education. I wish to extend a special welcome to the WCED and Umalusi this afternoon. My name is Lorraine Botha, and I am the chairperson of the Standing Committee. I'm going to give each member an opportunity to introduce themselves, and thereafter I shall go to the Department of Education, the Western Cape Education Department, that is, and then I will go to the Umalusi, and then I will go to the Department of Basic Education, in that order. Thank you very much, members.
Good afternoon, Chairperson and members. Member Further Christians, thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, officials, and all members. Regan Allen.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, and good afternoon to all the members and all the officials. Member Brankes.
Is that all the members? Member Bosman not in? I take it that
is in the meeting.
Member Bosman?
Chairperson, I think Member Bosman is experiencing technical difficulties, but I will just check in with him, if that's okay.
Thank you very much, Member Allen. That is okay indeed. Thank you very much. The WCED.
Good afternoon, honourable members and colleagues. Neil Simons, WCED Curriculum.
Good afternoon, honourable members and my colleagues. I am Berenice Daniels. I am the Director for Inclusive and Specialised Education Support in the WCED.
I've just seen that Ms. Manuel has taken the platform. Ma'am, can you introduce yourself? We shall come back to her. Umalusi, officials.
My name is John Volmink. I'm the chairperson of Umalusi.
My name is Mafu Rakometi. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Umalusi.
My name is Emmanuel Swanda. I'm the Executive Manager of Umalusi, responsible for qualification and research. Thank you.
My name is Lakiti Taunyane. I'm the Senior Manager for PR and Communication at Umalusi.
Good afternoon. My name is Zodwa Mudimakwane. I'm the Executive Manager for Quality Assurance and Monitoring at Umalusi. Thank you.
Good afternoon, honorable members. I'm Eva Suji. I'm the Senior Manager for Qualifications, Curriculum and Certification at Umalusi. Thank you.
I take it that that is all the officials of Umalusi. I'm going to go to the Department of Basic Education to introduce yourselves, please.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, the Chair and the CEO of Umalusi and colleagues. My name is Matanzi Mamweli, the Director General, Department of Basic Education. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Chairperson.
Please continue.
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Good afternoon, honorable members. Good afternoon, colleagues from Umalusi. My name is Liwan Mahada. I'm a manager in the Office of the Director General. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and honorable members, officials from Umalusi. My name is Moses Simelane. I'm the Chief Director for Curriculum in Basic Education. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Agnes Mohali. I'm a Chief Education Specialist in the curriculum branch of the DBE. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that is everybody now. Member Bosman has indicated that he had introduced himself. So welcome everybody to this afternoon's Standing Committee meeting on education. I also wish to extend appreciation for those people who are joining outside of the education departments and all our general community who might have joined, and then also to the media who have joined. I want to introduce you also to Wasima Hassan Musa, who is the procedural officer for the Standing Committee on Education. Wasima, thank you very much for doing the logistics to make this meeting happen this afternoon. And then I want to also say to the IT, welcome. Thank you very much for the support that you are rendering to us this afternoon. Members, I also want to indicate that my connection is not so stable, so I wish to call on either members Alan or member Bosman. Just when something happens, if you could just continue as if it did not happen. So thank you very much for that. So this afternoon, we are going to be briefed by Umalusi on the new CAPS curriculum for School of Skills and members. The Department of Education is with us in the meeting. As you have heard, they have introduced themselves, the officials that are in the meeting, because as you are aware, Umalusi is an entity of the Department of Basic Education. So I wish to say thank you for everybody who has availed themselves for this afternoon. Members, I also want to say that please keep yourselves, your mics mute if you are not speaking. And then I want to say also to keep your cameras muted during this time as well. Please use the chat or the raise your hand function if you want to allude the chairperson to anything, or you want to speak on anything, or you want to raise a point of order. I also want to say that when it is your turn that you are going to speak, you are welcome, if your bandwidth allows, to put on your video camera. Otherwise, you may keep it off if your connection is not too stable. And then also switch on your microphone, and then immediately after you have spoken, please then switch yourself off so that we could give an opportunity for somebody else to speak. Members, with that said, I'm going to ask the DG. DG, any opening remarks from your side in order to start the meeting?
Chair, thank you very much. Just to appreciate the invitation and the opportunity afforded to us and Umalusi to come and share the information requested. I might also indicate that, Chair, my connectivity is also not that stable, and because of that, Dr. Semilani will be leading our team from the Department of Education in case there's something that you need an answer or information from us about. But we are eternally grateful for your invitation, Chair, and especially picking on a topic as important as the one that's going to be discussed this afternoon. Thank you very much, Chair and honorable members.
Thank you very much, G. Matanzima, for that opening remarks. I will then now go over to the actual presentation. Thank you.
Chairperson, with your permission, our presentation is going to be preceded by the opening remarks made by the Chairperson of Council, Professor John Volmink.
Thank you very much, Dr. Volmink.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. And again, to all the honourable members of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, the Standing Committee on Education, for affording us the opportunity to make this presentation that will be done by the executive, the CEO and the executive of Umalusi. I also want to just acknowledge the presence of the DG with whom we work closely, and I'm happy that he's here to hear what is being said. The focus of today's discussion is on the new CAPS curriculum, which was developed for the schools of skills. And this curriculum underpins the
Dr.
general...
Dr. Fulming, sorry to interrupt you, sir.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, are you flighting the presentation?
No, Dr. Rakumetsi will do that. I'm just making a few opening remarks.
Okay, my apologies. Please continue, sir.
Yeah, so the slides will be done in a few minutes. So I was saying that this was developed for the new CAPS curriculum was developed for the schools of skills, and this curriculum underpins the general education certificate, the GEC, and that qualification is a NQF level 1 qualification that was gazetted for public comment. The GEC is a 1-year qualification with 120 credits, and it is aimed at equipping school learners with foundational skills who will be given a certificate of achievement as they complete the general and education and training phase of their schooling. So it's the end of the phase qualification. The qualification is designed to enable articulation with other qualifications on the general and further education and training qualifications and sub-framework, as well as on the occupational qualifications sub-framework of the National Qualifications Framework. From Umalusi's perspective, we welcome the introduction of the General Education Certificate. Currently, the whole education system only caters for one external examination at the end of grade 12. And we hope that the planned external examination will be able to shed more light on the standard of education at grade 9 level. And the data gathered from these exams will help Umalusi to make a meaningful contribution towards the improvement of education standards in our country. So in conclusion, Honourable Chair, I would like to say Umalusi appreciates the collaboration among the different stakeholders to ensure that we enhance the quality of education in South Africa. Therefore, we regard this meeting with the Western Cape Provincial Parliament Standing Committee on Education as an ideal opportunity for us to foster new relationships with lawmakers as strategic stakeholders in education. And I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Dr. for introducing our subject matter today.
Thank you, Honorable Bueta. Thank you very much to you as the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Education. Let me also thank the honorable members. Thank the chairperson of Umalusi Council, Professor Volmink. Thank the Director General, Mr. Matanzi Mamweli, for his presence here and his support to the work that we do at Umalusi. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share this presentation with Dr. Eva Suji. I'll take it up to a point and then proceed from there. We are going to be looking at the CAPS curriculum for schools of skills, as Professor Volmink has indicated. The presentation outline will focus, first of all, on the Umalusi's legislative mandate, the role of Umalusi, the GEC qualification, that's where Dr. Eva Suji will take over, and the appraisal of the GEC curriculum, how that was done and the general findings, articulation of the School of Skill, CAPS curriculum, and the concluding remarks. Chairperson, what is important to note is that Umalusi is the Council for Quality Assurance in General and Further Education and Training, taking its mandate principally from two pieces of legislation. The first one being the National Qualifications Framework, NQF Act number 67 of 2008. Second being the General and Further Education and Training Quality Assurance Act, acronymed GENFEDQA Act, Act number 58 of 2001. What is important to note, Chairperson, is that, let me see, Section 27 of the NQF Act 67 of 2008 as amended states the functions of the Quality Council, and I'm going to quote only a few of them that will be relevant for our engagement today: to develop and manage its sub-framework of qualification and make recommendations thereon to the minister with regard to the qualifications to its sub-framework, develop and implement policy and criteria taking into account the policy and criteria contemplated in Section 13(1) HI for the development, registration, and publication of qualifications. With regard to quality assurance within its framework, develop and implement policy for quality assurance, ensure the integrity and credibility of quality assurance, ensure that such quality assurance as is necessary for the sub-framework is undertaken. Now, in 2008, the founding act of Umalusi, the GENFEDQA Act, was amended. With the amendment, Umalusi was created together with other three quality councils. The other three being the Council on Higher Education, the Quality Council for Trades and Occupations, and the South African Qualifications Authority. That is with the promulgation of the NQF Act. The object of the amended Act of Umalusi is to enhance the quality of general and further education and training through the development and management of the sub-framework of qualifications for general and further education and training. You would observe that when I speak about the sub-framework of Umalusi, I don't say it's a framework, I say it's a sub-framework, because we only occupy levels 1 to 4 on the national qualifications framework. The other levels are occupied by the other quality councils, and we complement each other in the national qualifications framework. We quality assure qualifications and curricula, as well as exit point assessments of the qualifications. We also accredit private providers of education. The providers of education that are public, these public schools, are deemed accredited by virtue of the fact that they've been established by government. We only accredit the private providers of education. We also certify learner achievements, learner attainments for these qualifications. We conduct research on matters pertaining to the general and further education and training qualification sub-framework, our sub-framework as Umalusi. And we also have a mandate to advise both ministers of education relating to our qualification sub-framework. Now, when it comes to the GEC qualifications, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Suji to proceed with the presentation. Dr. Suji, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Rakometsi. And again, good afternoon, Honorable Botha, as well as other honorable members. All protocols observed. So thank you very much for the opportunity for Umalusi to present on the work done so far on the appraisal of the KEPS curriculum for the schools of skills. Now you all know that the GEC qualification policy has been recently gazetted for public comment. This qualification is a one-year qualification registered at NQF level 1 or to be registered at NQF level 1 with 120 credits and a minimum of 9 subjects is required for successful completion of the qualification. Now, this qualification is aimed at learners in schools. It provides a foundation certificate for learners in general education and training, and it aims to prepare the learners for life after school to enable them access to particular occupational workplace-based learning. Now, the qualification is designed to enable articulations with other qualifications on the GFED QSF, as well as on the occupational qualification sub-framework, the OQSF, on the NQF.
Thank you.
Sorry, Dr. Suchi, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I will start again. The attainment of the GEC, as I said, marks the end of the general education and training or formal schooling. Now, as indicated in the policy, a learner who obtained the GEC is advised to continue with their learning in the 3 learning pathways. We have the academic route through the completion of the National Curriculum Statement that culminates into the achievement of the National Senior Certificate at NQF Level 4, and then Umalusi is quality assuring this qualification. Then there's another route, the vocational route, through the completion of the National Certificate Vocational Qualifications with exit levels at level 2, 3, and 4, which contain vocational specializations, and Umalusi is responsible for the quality assurance of that. The last one is the occupational specific qualifications at NQF level 2, 3, and 4, which consist of knowledge, skills, and workplace experience and learning, and that is on the OQSF, and it is quality assured by the Quality Council for Trades and Occupations, which is the QCTO. Now, in terms of the appraisal of the GEC curriculum, so far, Umalusi has appraised 21 subjects that form part of the GEC occupational stream. That is the year 1 to 4 Schools of Skills KEPS curriculum. Now, the purpose of this GEC curriculum appraisal was to determine, amongst others, the relative depth and the breadth of the content covered. And then we've looked at the overall design, structure, and coherence of the curricula in terms of the broad curriculum design, the curriculum objectives, the content skill coverage, the sequence, progression, as well as the pacing of this curriculum. Now, the general findings from this elective year 1 to 4 subjects that we've appraised is that there's a greater depth in terms of the procedural content, the practical content, than in the conceptual or the theoretical content, which is expected from this occupational-oriented subjects. It was also found that the subjects are mostly aligned to the SAQA Level 1 descriptors. And therefore, we can say that the Schools of Skill KEPS curricula is pitched at NQF Level 1. And then from our appraisal, we saw that learners that exiting the schools of skill would be competent in the relevant traits when they do enter the world of work due to their exposure to the necessary practical competencies in sufficient depth. Now, the occupational courses are narrow in focus. It's related to the world of work, but it develops a meaningful depth of competency in a particular occupational field. That's why you see these occupational oriented subjects are more specific to that occupational field, where if you look at the vocational, it is more broader. So important is reliable practical assessments are essential for the occupational courses. Therefore, Umalusi is yet to embark on the appraisal of the assessed curricula for the schools of skill. Therefore, because we did not yet appraise the assessed curricula as well as the fundamental subjects, the question of articulation still remains open at this stage until we've looked at the fundamental subjects in this coming month. Now, the new KEPS curriculum, year 1 to 4, it forms part of the occupational-oriented stream of curricula underpinning the GEC qualification. A learner needs to satisfy the promotion requirements to obtain a GEC qualification at NQF level 1. And here is where we basically look at the question is whether the KEPS curriculum will then lead to the offering of the NSC. And here we say that the NSC is a qualification at NQF level 4. Therefore, learners who complete the schools of skills curricula pitch at NQF level 1 and who satisfy the promotional requirements will receive a GEC certificate and not a NSC, as most of the subjects are pitched at NQF level 1. So in conclusion, we are happy with the offering of the GEC qualification because at the end of the day, in our assessment of the GEC qualification, it will provide standardized benchmarks against which schools can compare their internal assessment standards. And then learners who have achieved the GEC qualification should be able to access further opportunities for further learning and be considered for access to qualifications beyond NQF level 1, as I have just explained the 3 articulation pathways. And then from Umalusi and from this preliminary appraisal that we did on the occupational oriented subjects, a learner from the schools of skill who obtained the GEC is advised to continue with their learning in the occupational pathway. Now, Umalusi is still waiting for the assessed curricula, so the DBE still needs to finalize the National Assessment Framework and are required to submit the documents related to the assessed curricula in order for Umalusi to be able to determine articulation of these occupational-oriented curricula. Lastly, Umalusi will continue to quality assure curricula underpinning qualifications on the GFET QSF and assist the DBE to evaluate and to strengthen the GEC curriculum. I thank you.
Thank you very, very much for the presentation. I'm just checking with members. Will we do a round of questions now or after the WCED has also done their presentation? I'll take guidance.
Chair?
Yes.
If I may suggest that we go ahead with the WCED
The next presentation.
and then we join it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Member Allen. Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for that presentation. From Umalusi, I will then go straight to the presentation of the WCED.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to take you through a few slides regarding the schools of skills in the Western Cape Education Department. We have a program manager for schools of skills, and that is Ms. Rhoda Manuel. She is in the meeting, and so any questions regarding detail, she is also available to answer. And we also have one of our curriculum planners from our head office, Neil Simon, so he's also available to take any questions after the presentation. So we have 21 registered schools of skills in the Western Cape. We also have 3 of our special schools that have predominantly School of Skills learners. Then there is 1 collaboration school and 1 secondary school, each with a skills stream. Learners who have barriers to learning and are unable to cope with a purely academic curriculum at a public ordinary school are prioritized for placement at the schools of skills. The schools offer a 4-year program, year 1 to 4. They generally start at age 14 years and exit at age 18 years. These are the schools of skills in the Western Cape, and as you will see, they are spread across all of our 8 districts. These are our metro districts and these are our rural districts. You can see that they are spread all over the province. So possible School of Skills learner pathways at present. The School of Skills offers a learning pathway that equips learners with the relevant skills to join the world of work. Schools are encouraged to have a 4th-year school to work program and exit plans for the year 4 learners. Our schools have networked and formed partnerships with local companies. Learners that are placed with companies for job shadowing in their 4th year are often employed by these companies when they complete their School of Skills program. We've also had links with the Provincial Department of Economic Development and Tourism, who've given us indications of the needs in certain areas, and we have tried to tailor our offerings accordingly. Learners who excel academically have the option of further studies at a TVET college through the recognition of prior learning process. There are some School of Skills learners that have enrolled successfully at various colleges, for example, Falls Bay College, Cape Town College, Northlink College and Boerland College, amongst others. This is the exception at present, however. So in a nutshell, those are the pathways at present. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Members, that is the 2 presentations in front of us today. I'm now going to take a round of questions. Member Brankhuis.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, and thank you very much to the for the presentation from the WCED and from the Basic Education Department. Chair, my question is simply that in the School of Skills curriculum, how extensive is agricultural education structured in those curriculums? And if the children, if they graduate from these schools of skills, do they find work in the agricultural industry when they do come from these schools of skills? Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Member Brankhuis. I'll move on to Member Allen.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. I appreciate the 2 presentations, and I just want to zoom in on the second presentation, Chairperson, with regard to learners that have the option to further their studies at TVET colleges through the recognition of prior learning avenue. Would the department be able to give us a brief overview of the amount of learners that have opted for that, and the role of the department in terms of helping and guiding students through that in process? But also, if I just out of, and I might be incorrect in my understanding, if there's a cost involved with regard to the recognition of prior learning, if there is a cost involved, does that cost then fall on the department or the specific learner? So basically, do we have an idea, Chairperson, that we have 100 learners who meet the threshold to be deemed that they are excelling academically, and then we have, for example, X amount of that 100 would have then pursued further studies, just to get an understanding of the dynamic of the this process of the schools of skills. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I noted Member Kama. Welcome, Member Kama, to the Standing Committee meeting. You were not yet present when we started, but please go on to your questions.
Thank you very much, Chair, and apologies. I think I arrived 7 minutes later. Chair, mine are just quick 2 questions. The first one would be on I just want to get an update, in terms of the school that is in Gravatar. But what I want to also ask, Chair, is perhaps the department, if can talk to us about its plans, to create access of these schools in your rural part of the province. And I think in almost each and every oversight visit that we took to those regions, we were made aware of the challenges that those people that are in those parts of the province have in terms of accessing these schools and them having enough spaces to accommodate the learners that need this opportunity. So if we can get those plans, Chair. I think the other one that I wanted to ask is captured by Member Regan on the issue of the TVET colleges and those that choose to enroll in the TVET colleges. But perhaps, Chair, also as part of the recommendation, if we can get a breakdown of these learners that are in these schools, for maybe a period of 5 years or any that might be suitable, a breakdown of these learners that are in these different schools. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Members, I just want to caution and everybody else who is in this meeting, if you're not speaking, please mute yourselves so that we don't hear what is happening in the background where you are. Thank you. Member Christians?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to latch on to Member Kama. I see that the presentation of the WCED says that the school now in Gravatar is recognized as a school of skills. I also just want update. Is it now officially a school of skills from the normal school? Because there was court action. Parties took the WCED to court. So is that resolved, and is that now a school of skills, and is this court action done, or is it still pending? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I'm going to do that round of questions for now. Thank you very much for your responses, WCED and Umalusi.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'll begin, and then I'll also ask our Program Manager for School of Skills, Ms. Rhoda Manuel, and also the Curriculum Planner, Mr. Neil Simons, to add if need be. So in terms of agricultural education, there is a subject which is called agricultural studies, and that includes plant production, animal husbandry and gardening. And as was indicated, these subjects do prepare the learners for the world of work. I will ask my colleagues also just to add to that. Then in terms of RPL, I don't have the numbers at hand, but we can certainly find out about that, and also if there is any cost involved, unless my colleagues can respond to that. Are we trying to create access in rural areas? Certainly. Graaf Water is the newest school of skills at present. They have year 1 learners, but every year they will add a year until they are offering year 1 to year 4 of the School of Skills program. The school is wholly a School of Skills at present, and I stand to be corrected. I think that it has been registered already as a School of Skills. And then the breakdown of learners for 5 years, I'm not sure whether that is the number of learners that have completed year 4 over the last 5 years. So perhaps the person who posed that question could just indicate the statistics that are required. I'll hand over now to Ms. Rhoda Manuel. Ms. Manuel.
Good afternoon, honourable members. I must apologise. I've been having some serious connectivity issues. As Ms. Daniels indicated, I'm the Provincial Programme Manager for the Schools of Skills in the Western Cape. Just to respond to the question around Graaf Water and its registration, in terms of the presentation, you would have noted that we indicated that there are certain schools that are fully registered as schools of skills, and then there are 3 special schools that have predominantly skills learners. So Graaf Water is one of those special schools that have predominantly School of Skills learners, as in a huge School of Skills stream. And at the start of term 3, they also brought in an SID class, a class for learners with severe intellectual disability. So we are aware of the concerns that were raised in the community about the school. So they are registered as a special school that caters for School of Skills learners predominantly, and then has a stream for even weaker learners, and those are learners with severe intellectual disability. I think the other thing I want to latch onto in terms of what Mrs. Daniels explained with the agricultural studies, most of our schools that are in rural areas, in the rural districts, they are the ones that opt for the agricultural studies. And the successes of the placement of learners in terms of their exit point when they leave the School of Skills after year 4, it really depends on the amount of effort that the School of Skills has put into those learners and their exit plans. So our learners do have in year 4, they have workplace exposure for about 2 weeks every term. So they are placed within different companies in the metro, in industry, and in the rural areas, wherever the teachers and the school can place them. And then usually those are the places where they are placed are the ones who tend to employ them permanently after they leave. And I know that the parliamentary committee visited once with me Riebeek Valley School of Skills in Riebeek West, and they are one of our schools that has an excellent success rate. I can't quote exact numbers to you, but they have an excellent success rate in placing learners into the workplace. And in year 4, they would do courses with the agricultural studies learners, like they would send them for extension in forklift courses or, anything relating to agriculture. They try and extend them after hours to give them a boost as well. So that's just what I wanted to add, Mrs. Daniels.
Thanks, Ms. Manuel. Mr. Simons, do you want to add?
Ms. Daniels, I think I'm covered with your answers from yourself and Mrs. Manuel. Thank you.
Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. In regard to the other questions, Lucy.
I think most of the questions were directed at the WCD, and I don't know if the Department of Education wants to come in with a breakdown of learners at the schools.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. This is Moses Simelane from DBE. Coming in, I think in terms of the breakdown of learners in schools of skill.
Please, if you are not speaking in this meeting, switch off your microphone. We do not want to hear your conversations outside of this platform.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Honorable Chair. And I think in terms of the breakdown, I think from DBE, it would be a bit challenging to provide a breakdown of learners who attend schools of skill, except one needs to mention that the majority of learners who find themselves in schools of skill are learners who start their schooling in mainstream schools, but due to maybe the curriculum that is offered in mainstream schools, in terms of it being in the main academic, then those learners usually find themselves, repeating some grades to an extent that with more evaluation and assessment of these individual learners' needs for learning, then these learners then find themselves being referred to schools of skill for continuing with their schooling. That's in the main the profile of learners who are found in schools of skill. But further breakdown, I think, can be provided from the provincial department. I thought maybe I needed to speak to that question. But again, in terms of, there was a question about the kind of guidance that is provided to learners, maybe those learners who want to study further beyond the grade 9 level, that is the exit point of the general education and training. At the moment, we are reliant on the observation and guidance that is given at school level. But with the introduction of the general education certificate, once we start implementing that, we are hoping that we'll also be using the learners' achievements in the GEC qualification, in part to provide them with what we could also refer to as some kind of guidance that is related to career guidance looking forward, in the sense that the plan in terms of the value add for the general education certificate is that, in part, it should be able, going forward, it should be able to sort of give us an indication of learners' inclination, so that then learners are then streamed in one of the 3 streams, starting from the grade 10 level. So that's the more structured guidance that we are looking to introduce in the sector as soon as we start implementing the general education certificate. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much for the responses. Members, do you still want to follow up on the responses that you have received on the questions posed? Yes, please go ahead, Member Christians.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, no, I've asked specifically the one in Gravater because you have now, the department have now converted the school into a school of skills. So is there still pending court action or not? Because, you know, if you convert it prematurely, there's cost involved. So that's why I'm asking the question. Is that court case now still pending or finished? And just to give us update, because I did not get enough, is there still a court case pending, or is it finalized? And are the department then, you know, then they understand that it's already converted into a school of skills? If not, there's concerns. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Christians. Ms. Daniels.
Chairperson, I think that we would have to go back to our colleagues in management and governance regarding that question. Thank you.
Member Christians, is that good enough for you? Can we also then put it in writing as a recommendation for the department to respond to?
Thank you, Chair. Yes.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to ask, and maybe I should ask this to the Department of Basic Education, and I saw that the WCED stated all the schools of skills within the province. I just want to check, how do we compare to other provinces?
Thank you for the question, Honorable Chair. I think, you know, from basic education perspective, I think if we have this bird's eye view in terms of the implementation of this program in schools of skill across the provinces, I must indicate, Chair, that the Western Cape Department of Education actually has is actually one of the leading provinces in terms of the provision of or the implementation of this program or this curriculum in schools of skill. And that is also in terms of the number of schools of skill that have been established by the province. So the program has actually, in the main, stabilized already in terms of its implementation in the Western Cape. And that is why even from basic education level, we also are engaging with the province in terms of assisting us in fine-tuning the implementation plan of the program in schools of skills. So I think the province has done exceptionally well in terms of supporting and even resourcing the schools of skill to implement the occupational program. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I also just want to ask, in regard to the WCED, has governing bodies or parents, I rather want to ask on the parent side, have parents been informed of the new CAPS curriculum for this stream of education? And if not, when will that process be concluded for parents to know of the new curriculum and how it would impact on the children?
Ms. Manuel, would you like to respond to that?
Yes, please, Mrs. Daniels. It's important to note the context of the new curriculum that we're implementing this year from DBE, and also where we come from as a province, as the Western Cape. So we had a very similar curriculum that was written by teachers within the Western Cape for schools of skills that we implemented in the Western Cape since 2012, right up until 2016. So our schools were then accustomed, the schools of skills, to doing this adapted CAPS curriculum within the schools. Then a process was undertaken at National with Dr. Similani and them, and we embarked on writing a curriculum for the entire country, and different provinces were represented at National. And that's how the new curriculum that we have now came about. And within our schools, we were implementing the pilot since 2017. We started with the pilot, the DBE curriculum, and we did it for a 4-year period up until the end of last year. And this year, we're doing the curriculum as full implementation for the first year. So there's been a lot of advocacy, a lot of work done with parents. Our parents have been on board from the start. And like I said, because we had a very similar WCD curriculum prior to the one from DBE, yes, I would say parents are aware. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And can I just ask also on that, Ms. Manuel, what does the waiting list look like for intake for the 2022 academic year?
I'm actually, Honourable Boerta, in the process now of doing my sifting meetings. I had just this morning done one in Worcester. So what we do is we have our sifting placement meetings in term 3. So we've started the process this term where we look at all the applications for schools of skills. And as the program manager, I draft a sifting date list so that there are no clashes. And all the schools of skills and the special schools with skills units, they appear on the sifting date list. So we started at the start of the term, and I've finished Metro South, only Metro East, and then part of the Cape Winelands district. So I'm in the midst of the sifting process at the moment, and the process entails me as Mrs. Daniels as proxy from head office representing us, but also our SLES component of the district, our psychologist, our head of SLES, and then also representatives from the School of Skills. And it's very difficult at this stage to tell you this is the exact amount of applications we received. That gets wound up at the end of this term. We've got the SAMI system that we use, an admissions management and information system, where the schools load all the applications that they receive on the system, and it varies from school to school. So if you have a school like we did, for example, Westcliff School of Skills in Bellville, they received close to 400 applications, and they could place about 150 learners only. So it's quite a process, but it depends on the size of the school, the amount of applications that they receive, and also how many learners they can place. So that figure will be available, but it will only be available at the end of the term when we do a summary and analysis of all the applications we received and how many we were able to place, how many we have placed on the waiting list. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And members, any questions to Umalusi, perhaps? No, none. I just like to ask in regard to the development of the new CAPS curriculum for skills, for schools of skills. I just want to ask, and maybe you're going to say that this is a DBE question, but I'm asking it anyway. In how far, with the development of the new curriculum, has industry been involved in the development stages?
Yes, if I can answer from Umalusi, that the DBE will be responsible for the development of the curriculum. So that question is directed to the Department of Education, because Umalusi just evaluate the curriculum that has been developed. Thank you.
Thank you. TBE?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I would say when starting the process of writing the curriculum, we actually extended our invitation kind of widely, not only drawing curriculum developers from within the basic education sector, but we've also involved even curriculum writers from TVET colleges, as it were. I cannot recall from the top of my head involvement of specific officials from industry, but we were drawing from the experience of schools of skill themselves, because we also identify lead teachers who are developing the curriculum. But drawing from schools of skill, it is because those teachers have been exposed and have been working with industry in terms of putting the programs together, even before we took over the process as basic education.
Thank you very much. Are you concluding, Dr. Similani? It seems that he has concluded, but his mic is still on, so I'm not too sure. Members, if that is your round of questions for the departments and Umalusi, then I will give back to Dr. Formink just for closing remarks.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. From my side, I am grateful for this opportunity for two reasons. One is we always have so much to learn what our stakeholders in education are doing, both at the provincial level as well as on a national level. And today was a learning opportunity for Umalusi, so I'm happy that we were here. But on the other hand, it's also good for our partners in education to fully understand the mandate, both the legislative mandate and our quality assurance mandate of Umalusi. And Dr. Rakumesi had outlined that. And then the way we work on, not only on assessment, because Umalusi is known for assessment, but evaluating the curricula. I think this was a good opportunity to explain that. So we do not get involved directly in school management issues, but we do work according to our mandate. Thank you, Honourable Chair. I don't know if Dr. Rakumesi would like to add.
Nothing to add, Chair. Thank you.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Nothing to add, indeed. Nothing to add.
Nothing to add. And Dr. Suji, nothing to add from your side?
No, I also just want to say thank you very much for the opportunity. And also, as Prof. Holman said, it was also a learning opportunity for us. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. From my side, I also wish to say thank you to you as the team of Umalusi, who has joined our meeting today, and that you have bought time out of your busy schedule to join us. And this is also a learning curve for us. But in order for us to see what the presentation gave us, we have to go on oversight to see it, to see how it happens and to see how it is implemented. So that we will surely do. But I wish to say thank you very much for what you do in the education sphere and for developing our skills and starting early, so that we have enough skills to build the economy of the country. So thank you very, very much for you joining us. And I also want to say to the DBE for joining us in this meeting. Thank you very much. And then by the same token to the WCED. We shall have discussions around the presentations that we have had, and we will do our recommendations as to what will be our next step in regard to this subject matter in education. So thank you very much. Go well, and please, please, please keep safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Members, we shall stay behind to conclude on our administrative business.
Thank you.
Chairperson. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Members, any recommendations?
Chair, what the Graafwater wants is an update on what's happening there, please.
Yes, sure. So that's the only recommendation, members. Shall I give you more time, or is that it?
Chairperson,
Yes.
thank you. I have communicated with the procedural officer regarding the one I've asked earlier on. If that breakdown will then be received in writing.
Okay, sure. Asima, you have that one?
Chair, yes, I've got the one from Member Christians responding to his question regarding Graafwater. I've also got the one from Member Allen requesting the breakdown on how many qualify according to the criteria of excellence, as well as the cost involved for those learners that go to FET colleges and who pays for that, the learner or WCED. I've also captured the one from Member Kama, where he's asking for a breakdown of the learners that are at schools of skills for the past 5 years that have, and this is where I need guidance from Member Kama if he wants, and Member Miss Daniels also asked this for the number of learners at the schools over the past 5 years, or the number of learners that have completed over the past 5 years, or do you want it over the 4-year period that the pilot project had started? Your guidance in that regard, Member Kama, would be appreciated through you, Chair.
Member Kama can respond to that.
No, thank you very much, Chair. In terms of the period, it can be the 4 years. In terms of the other question, yes, if we get number of those who have completed through this opportunity of School of Skills. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. You
Thank
got
you,
it,
Chair.
Asima?
Yes, thank you, Member Kama. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. And then in regard to the Graafwater, and I know Member Christians asked the part of the case, the court case part of it. But I also just want to I just want to check whether the Graafwater School of Skills is it now 100% equipped.
Okay, Chair.
Thank you. That is me. Members, if there are no more recommendations on the presentation that we had just had, then just before we adjourn this meeting, I'd like to ask, remember in the beginning, I see the procedural officer's hand is raised.
Sorry, Chair, I'll go after you.
Okay. All right. I just want to check with you in the beginning, after we have had the presentation on the results of the class of 2020 matrics. Of the recommendations that came back from the presentation was a list of schools that did not make the 60% pass cut. They were below the 60%. Now, in regard to the committee program, there is not enough time for the committee to get to those schools, especially maybe those schools who has done below the 50% in any case. We don't have time to get to all the schools, and I don't need to tell you why. You know what is happening around us, and there are so many other matters that we have to attend to. But I would want to be visiting some of those schools so that we know what is happening in that window. What has happened? How has the schools done it with the COVID implications? How have they assisted learners so that they go higher than their 60% pass result? Now, I want to check with this committee whether I could do it on my own. It would be easier. Or if there is another avenue that we should embark on to get to the schools. So I'm taking input from you. Thanks. Is this the silent input?
Chair, I would think, Chair, I would think that you should. I think it's easy if you do it on your own, and if members want to accompany you, I think that is welcome. But I don't think we must delay you in doing what you want to do. So I am agreement either. Chair, you do it on your own, and members want to join, they can then avail themselves to do that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Christians. Any other input? And are you happy with that proposal?
Chairperson, I agree and I support your view of undertaking such oversight visits, and I do appreciate what Member Christians is adding to it. So if there is such a roster, or we know we could be able to slot in, obviously not to want to disturb or make life difficult for our procedural officers or for the administration, but to see how we as members can also be more flexible should we be able to slot in. But as chairperson, I would fully support you as in your capacity as a chairperson to undertake such visits. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Brinkhorst.
Yeah, Chair, I approve what you propose in. That will be very good if we can do those kind of oversight visits. So yes, from my side, I fully approve, and I recommend also what you have proposed, Chair. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. So I am just making sure, and I'm soundboarding back to you, that if I set up a roster, whoever is available to join will then join in. Is that how
Correct,
I
Chair.
understand
Correct.
it? Okay.
100%, Chair.
Perfect.
Okay. All right.
Chair,
Thank you very much.
I will
Thank you.
also
So,
join, Chair.
okay. So I will set up a roster then with our procedural officer, and we take it from there. Okay.
Chairperson, can I just ask another
yes.
question? I think yours is done. I think yours is done. Chairperson, because of the nature of what we do, you know, I think we all have, you know, areas of concern. I wonder, how do we, you know, how do we do it? Because I would also, you know, in areas of concern, maybe it's an unannounced visit or just a friendly visit to a school, just to, I'm just asking, you know, because I would like to go visit Gravater school. I would like to, but that's just in and out hour there and so on. And maybe to see how they're progressing, because I had some, you know, of the community members approaching me to come. And then there's also one or two, you know, schools that a person want to go to. One in 1 year close by also. I spoke to a principal. So how do we, I'm just asking advice also now from you for guidance, and also the procedural officer. I also just don't want to pitch up at schools and, you know, unannounced and have a difficult time. So I had a couple of invitations, and I thought I'm waiting for this opportunity just to throw that in. So I don't know, Chair, I'm taking your lead and the procedural officer's guidance. Thank you.
Thank you. In your case, I would say that, you know, the constituency of the Western Cape is your constituency, right? That is your constituency. And I think that in our constituencies, we are able to go to any school, or we are able to attend to any matter that falls within the sphere of the Western Cape. In regard to, if you are asking whether when you go to far-flung areas of visiting schools there, then I also need to be guided by our procedural officer and senior procedural officer, because what would that financial impact be on the committee funding? So I am also I want to be guided by them, so maybe they should come in here now.
Chair, just 1 moment. There's no
Yeah.
financial impact for this committee or for anything. I'm doing it as my oversight visits, and there's no financial impact on this on our committee. It's all done by myself as being the constituency head of the Western Cape. I do it in that role.
Okay.
But so I'm not asking for any assistance financially or nothing. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. All right. But maybe we should just know for future. Wasima?
Chair, thank you. I'm going to ask Ben to come in also afterwards. On the one basis of Member Christian's request of visiting schools in those areas, I'm happy to provide you with the email address and a letter, and your PA can just amend it as to which school you'll be going, so that you don't have any hassles when entering the school. Because in some schools we found that there had been a issue with entering because there was an official notice, and given that it is COVID protocols at certain schools. So I'm happy to provide you with that, which can just be amended, and also the person who you could send it to give notice that you'll be in that area and be attending a school, so that you don't have any hassle to attend the school. With regards to financial implication, if the entire committee is not going to go, Ben can just assist me if I'm correct in this. If the entire committee is not going to go and it's individual, then it's the individual as Member Christians is going as within his sphere as doing just oversight visits. It would not be a committee doing it. If the committee is going, then it would be more than one member, which would require a report at the end of that. Ben, am I on the right path? Any input from you?
Yes, you are correct. Thank you, and good afternoon to members. Yes, with Mr. Christian's one, it's a member visiting any school. It is allowed, but it is not necessarily a committee visit. It's a member trying to gather information. He can report back to the committee, said he visited this school, and then this is what he has noted. We do not really have a process where individual members visit and that is paid for by the committee. We have not done it that way. But in case of member Bota, the chairperson, the committee has just now agreed, we would always need a committee decision for committee funds to be utilized, which we have today. So, and that is the advice that we also received when I think when Wasima spoke to me about it. So we would need a committee decision. It has always been tricky when it's going to be one member, but all we need is a committee decision. But I just want to check now with the chairperson, the reporting part of it, because whenever the committee funds are spent, there has to be a report on it. So I don't know if the chairperson will take the procedural officer and stuff like that. So must we regard it as a committee visit or a chairperson visit? The committee can just assist me on that so that we can properly advise.
Thank you very much, Ben, for that update. In regard to the schools that are on the list of not achieving 60% in the class of 2020, I would want it to be regarded as a chairperson of the committee visit. And I would then also say that where we can, to do the program in such a way that the procedural officer is with, in order for this committee to receive the report, because we also said that the chairperson would go back with the procedural officer, cluster some schools together, say to members, this is how we have clustered, this is the days that we can go, are you wanting to join? So open that up to members too. So it would be a committee visit and not necessarily an individual visit, because the committee has to receive an updated report of where schools are in regard to their turnaround to achieve better than 60%.
Okay, Chair.
Is that
okay.
in order, Mr. Daza?
Okay, Chair. No, that's fine. Thanks for that information. I think the issue of other members joining it might have to be sorted out early so that we can budget for it, because it may have to require some sort of projections and also to be programmed then as a committee visit, because then it would require quite a bit of funding. So Mario would, our manager would require us to plan for that. And then we would need to know, you might want to give a deadline to members who want to accompany you,
Okay.
so that we can plan for it.
Thank you very much. I noted Member Christians and I noted Ms. Hassan Musa.
Chair, I just want to say this. I mean, you are doing committee work, and I mean, as a committee, we will not have an opportunity to do it now, and I think it's important to do it, the turnaround strategy. So it is committee work. What I maybe suggest is what Mr. Daza said, just to see how many schools you're going to do and then allocate the budget to, and then members must indicate if they want to go with you, just to have the budget sorted out. But I think it's committee work. You're doing it not as a chairperson. Yeah, you are the chairperson, but you're doing it on behalf of the committee. Mine is totally different. It's oversight. It's as a member of the provincial parliament that I'm doing it. So there's no financial. So there's two different scenarios, and I think yours is support. There must be a decision today. I think the committee has already agreed that you are actually doing work that's outstanding on behalf of the committee. So I think that is a difference. And if you then can, identify it and then they can attach a budget to that, I think that is fine. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Member Christians. And I would want to check with others if that is okay. We are all on the same par. We understand the content.
Same page, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Karma and Member Allen. Then I noted your hand, Wasima.
Yes, Chair. The two of us will have to sit and just look at the number of schools which we've received. I have clustered them together. We also need to just make a note of it that the committee has a budget of 68,000 Rand, with the pending oversight visit week coming up from the 13th to the 16th. And then the program ends on the 27th or before the 27th, and we go into constituency period. So whether that would be done before that or after, once we return, if the elections takes place after that.
Okay, thank you. With that said, in regard to if the elections do take place on the 27th of September, members, I'm asking you then, do we still embark on the oversight visit 13th to the 17th? As you know, there are financial implications, but more than that, there are logistics that has to be concluded. So apologies, I forgot about it, but seeing that we have time, do we, what do we do in regard to the elections being 27 October? Do you want to buy that time out of your constituency program then, Member Christians?
Chairperson, I've already now rendered an apology for that oversight visit. I won't be able to make it if the elections is on the 27th. So I've already asked Jackie, my PA, just to write to render apology on my behalf. It's difficult to go away. I cannot do that at the moment, Chair. So that is my input. Thank you.
Chair is muted.
Chair, we cannot hear you at all.
Apologies for that. I'm so sorry. I'm saying thank you, Member Christians. And I'm asking then any other members, any other input with regards to that oversight visit week, 13 to 17 September, in the regard that the elections is on the 27th of October. Would we still carry on? It is a constituency period. It was in there before we knew about the elections. Do we continue?
We can continue, Chair.
Okay. Okay, and then I said that maybe Wasima, can we get back to you by tomorrow? A member, just an indication, maybe on the standing committee WhatsApp group, just indicate there. We already now have Member Brinkes who said to continue, and we have Member Christians who has rendered an apology for that period. But from others, if we could just indicate there. Is that in order?
Chairperson.
Yes, please.
Thank you, baie dankie for that input. Obviously, then we can take our minds to apply our minds before we then say yes or no. Now, I will highly appreciate that in order to update regarding availability by close of business tomorrow.
Okay.
Chairperson.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, Chairperson. Member Barangay, sir. Will it be an issue for you, Chair, or for the committee if any one of us is going with or on any oversight meeting now or in the future? If any of the members is not vaccinated, will that be an issue, Chair?
We have to talk to that.
Okay, Chair.
Okay. Wasima?
Yes. On the issue of just getting clarity, as we have discussed, and Member Alan has also alluded to it, if I could get by close of business tomorrow, because logistical arrangements will need to be made. I'm in the process of finalizing the program as well. So I don't want to make arrangements and then it's the decision is taken not to. So if I could kindly ask all members if via WhatsApp group, as you have requested, to just indicate whether they would be attending, would be much appreciated.
All right. Okay. If we do not get any feedback from any member, do we take it as they are not going?
Chair, I think you made it quite clear. People must indicate on the group. I've done it on my email, but I mean, I think it's quite fair just to give an indication on the group if you're going or not going, and then you and the procedural officer can make a decision if it's worth your while or not. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Okay, thank you. We'll do that. We'll do that. Members, then on that note, I'd like to once again say thank you to our procedural officer. Thank you to our senior procedural officer, and thank you for the IT assistance from Mr. Siraj Hassan for today. And thank you, members, for availing yourselves to be in this meeting this afternoon. I want to wish you well, and please, please keep safe and keep up with the COVID protocols. Thank you. The Standing Committee meeting is now adjourned.